A great case study for me is Facebook. When I first was invited to visit the Facebook corporate headquarters, the organization was still located at 1601 South California Avenue in Palo Alto. So I flew out, met with a colleague who worked at Facebook in a senior position, was invited into the headquarters, showed my driver's license, signed in at security right through the entryway you can see in the photo in the top right, and then got a tour of the facility and got to meet with some senior executives, including passing by and saying hello to Mark Zuckerberg. Going clockwise then, the image on the lower right shows you what a typical office setup looked like in the old building. Lots of banks of face-to-face computers, lots of young people between 24 and 30 years old, no real dress code, no hierarchy, no structural setup in terms of offices and workspaces. It pretty much looked like a college campus where teams of people were working together at tables across the organization. Even the executive offices, which were right around the corner to the right from this image, were not formalized. They weren't overly separated from the teams working throughout the building, and they were very, very easy to access. I chuckle because you can see in the center the typical Palo Alto trappings that you would find at a lot of tech startups. You enter the bathroom, and on the counter you could find toothbrushes and toothpaste and teeth whitening strips and other things that at most organizations I've ever worked at never appeared or were present. And on the far left, what I really loved was the multiple stations that included snacks and beverages and free coffee and espresso and all the other things you can think of that these employees had access to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's also important to note that there were no hours in this facility. Employees weren't structured. They were allowed to come and go as they pleased. They could start and end their day as they pleased. Although there was some hierarchy in this building, and it related to the position you held. If you were a computer engineer, you held a very high rank within the organization. But what was rather interesting is computer engineers' rankings had nothing to do with their age or status. Some of the highest ranking individuals in the computer engineering side of this business were young people fresh out of college, and they held tremendous sway in the organization. And I could never figure out why or how that came to be until later when I visited the new headquarters Facebook opened at 1 Hacker Way in Melno Park. This is the old Sun Microsystems campus that Facebook bought after it went public and after it had a chance to develop a deeper strategy under the guidance of Sheryl Sandberg, who I think is one of the strongest leaders in the country in the tech sector, somebody I admire greatly. So on my second invited visit to Facebook, I visited this facility about 2 months after they had moved in. Down below on the left you can see I've marked the entrance to the building, and this is the view you see when you walk up to that particular space. In front of you is a security desk. You check in, you sign in, there's video cameras everywhere, and outside the glass you can see this main street that goes directly down the center of this complex, and it is Disneyland-esque. There isn't an unkept blade of grass in this facility. So let me explain to you what I saw. On the bottom left you can see the wall to the left when you first enter the security station. And what I noticed first was the pride sign above the beverage cooler, and you can see it in the middle right of the lower left image. The team was making a statement while I was visiting that everybody mattered. The security officer told me that the sign was posted about a week earlier as a statement that everybody in the Facebook community is welcome. And I thought that was a powerful statement for somebody to see when you first walk into the organization. Once you pass through security, the view is what you see in the bottom middle. Main Street, lots of food and beverage outlets, wonderful landscaping, services left and right, and offices and employee workspaces both inside and outside throughout this campus. Along the walk, I got a chance to talk to Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla, and I took this picture of the two of them together. And then later I got a chance to hear Sheryl Sandberg speak. You can see her with the microphone there, with Mark behind her and a bunch of colleagues standing with them. And I love this picture because it shows you the diversity of the team working there at Facebook. They have incredible diversity. It is just such a mix of people and people that bring to bear incredibly deep talent. But what I discovered that I thought was most important is the building on the left. The building on the left is where Mark Zuckerberg's headquarter office is. So the lower part of that building, where you see the black bottom and the glass, that's where Mark sits, and his desk is literally right on the other side of that glass, open to the whole community. And when he's in the office, the shades are up, you can see him sitting there working on his computer. But that wasn't what impressed me. What impressed me was the sign on the top left. The sign on the top left of the building reads, "The Hacker Company." And so I had a chance to talk to Sandberg, and the reason this company has chosen to be a culture of hackers is that it believes that its innovation comes from a community of individuals who resist convention, who view themselves as hackers in technology, who are irreverent, who resist authority, and seeking new ways of viewing technology and using it. They seek to create and tame technology and not the other way around. And so Facebook is a company where it seeks to bring people into the organization that view themselves as hackers, that view themselves as irreverent, that seek to create new ways of viewing the world, and that are capable of reframing their view on the world quite rapidly. And so when you think about the organization, Zuckerberg and his team, one could consider, is highly vertical. But the reality is what he's done is he's created an organization that is mostly horizontal, that is mostly distributed, that is social in structure. And so wouldn't it make sense that the world's largest social media company may in fact be the world's most accurate example of a social organization, one that is built on a culture of hackers and seeks to maintain, as it goes through billion-dollar growth, its small business, nimble, social and cultural orientation so that it can keep its edge and continue to grow. I can only imagine how poorly this organization would function if it was vertically integrated. But then thinking about Facebook made me wonder, was Microsoft under Steve Ballmer's leadership the opposite example, the example that was hierarchical and vertical and perhaps not nearly as nimble as Facebook has proven to be?